Alright, so here we have the Candiru Apple Fuzz from Bearfoot Effects. The silicone fuzz pedal. It gets pretty wild and over the top, nasty. You can do some really cool stuff with it. I kind of like it a lot. So I'll show you what it can do. As you can see, I'm starting with the fuzz completely dimed because that's how fuzz is supposed to be used. I've got the volume set to unity. The nature knob, which we'll play around with here, is in this middle position because this is kind of an in-between position that gets the most splattery and nasty. I'll play around with that a little later. And then there's this treble position, or treble knob over here that I've got boosted just a little bit. I'm running my Les Paul into my orange on the clean channel, which sounds like this on the bridge pickup. Pretty intense. I'll switch over to my Legacy a little bit later and you can hear, but on the lower output single coil pickups, this thing cuts off and gets kind of gated and splattery in a way that the little high output pickups of the humbuckers don't. So let's look at the knobs here. We'll start with the fuzz control. As I said, it's completely maxed out because generally I feel like that's the way that fuzz is meant to be played. However, the Candiru does dial down very nicely into kind of a splattery, fuzzy-ish overdrive. It gets a little bit weird when you go really low gain with it. I'm not personally a fan, although it's the kind of tone that you could use for some cool effects. But in general, I prefer from about noon up on the fuzz knob. So let's dial it back just a little bit. Volume knob off, you find some nice tones there. Feels like a blanket of steel wool over the top of your amp. Don't be hating. Yeah, hear how it dies there. We'll go really low. This is minimum fuzz. And there's just not enough there to really drive stuff. It does do that gated thing though. It's not something that you would want to use for single note runs, but you could get a really messy, nasty sound out of it if you were using it for a chunky rhythm thing. keeping it pretty rhythmic and not expecting any sustain. So let's push it back up. Let's play with the nature knob. To this point I've had it in the center. Now let's turn it off center a little bit. All the way counterclockwise. Not bad, nice and smooth sound. Now we'll bump it back up and we'll start coming clockwise with it a little bit here. You can hear it crackling. There's a shift in the EQ, but there's also a change in the character of the fuzz. The mids seem to come through and thicken things up a little bit more as we move clockwise. The fuzz also goes from being smooth to being more zippery. And we'll crank it all the way up here. Cool, though I prefer more of the counterclockwise side myself. But that's because it sounds more like my fuzz face pedals. If you go more clockwise, it sounds less like them, and it's a sound I don't have. The treble knob here is exactly what it sounds like. Clearer sound with the treble up. And we roll it off. So here's a real quick run through with my Legacy, running into the clean channel of my orange, again through the Candiru Apple Fuzz. Like I said, it's going to react a little bit differently to the lower input signal than it did with the humbuckers of the Les Paul. Again, I'm running on the clean channel of my orange, and it sounds like this on my bridge pickup. Even on the bridge pickup, which is a humbucking pickup but is lower output than my Les Paul, that it tails off a little quicker and responds with the gating a little faster. Let's try flipping it up to my neck pickup, which is the true single coil. Once the gating kicks in, it really kills those notes. Although with the fuzz set this high, it lasts a pretty decent amount of time before that happens. Have it. A quick and dirty demo of the Candiru Apple Fuzz from Bearfoot Effects. I think it's a pretty sweet little pedal. Out of the 3 fuzz pedals that I own, it would be the closest to the Chalice. It does everything the Chalice can do and a whole lot more, and it does it all better. I would gladly trade in my Chalice for the Candiru Apple Fuzz. It's not a knock on the Chalice as much as it is praise for Bearfoot with what they've done with this little pedal.